Today, let's talk about successful podcasting strategies to supersize and grow your business. And whether you create a podcast or do a podcast or participate in podcasts is up to you. I created my podcast in 2018. So I've been doing a podcast actually most every day since 2018. Now, because of that, the way I do podcasts is different than a lot of other people do. Most people do not show up every day. Most people do all kinds of crazy and awesome editing and things with video that I do not do, primarily because I have vision challenges. So I have to do what's right for me, just like you need to do what's right for you and your business. I think as of yesterday on my Libsyn account, I have 7,883 podcast episodes and have reached hundreds of thousands of people because of that. I'm also on Spotify now because Anchor, I think it was called Anchor before, was purchased by Spotify. And so now my podcast is on Spotify. And I don't really pay much attention to that, but I do post to that daily with this segment. This is the segment that I post on Libsyn and on Spotify, which means it goes out to, and part of the power of podcasting and with the syndicated podcasting platforms nowadays is you can reach a huge audience because you can share the video, the podcast. Now they're video. They used to only be audio, but you can share your video podcast on dozens of platforms with the push of a button. You just set it up once and then verify that it's working every time you use it, or not every time, but periodically. Usually get a notification if some link is broken or needs to be refreshed. But you can share all over the place in a really, really easy, economical way. So why the heck would you want to have a podcast? What can you do with a podcast? How can a podcast help you to grow and build and supersize your business? Well, number one, it sets you up as an authority in the topic that your podcast is on. I have a Supersize Your Business podcast. I also share an annual challenge as a podcast. So I set everything up under originally, which is funny now, my Pajama Grandma podcast. And everything is actually still under that because I have never taken the time and energy to hire somebody to separate it all out for me, to edit it for me, to set it up in a way that makes sense. And down the road, that might be a priority, but it hasn't been a priority thus far because my podcast keeps me going from a business standpoint to the point that I don't need to do those things yet. Now I say yet because I think as video and podcasting and any technology advances and gets better online, we're all going to need to keep up with that. But it establishes you as an authority. It expands your ability to reach audiences and people that you otherwise wouldn't be reaching. That's the whole power of the internet. There's over 2 million podcasts right now, and I don't know if that's an old statistic, but that number is growing every day. Every day, I don't know how many people start a podcast, but a lot. The other thing about that number that we need to keep in mind, which sometimes we're like, oh, there's already 2 million podcasts. Where do I fit? The truth is there's an audience out there for you, just like there was one for me, which surprised me. But there is an audience. Your people are out there, and other people in your same niche and your same topic that are speaking to people don't have the same voice you do. So there's always room for one more person that will show up, add value, be consistent, create content that is what your audience wants to hear and see. And so don't let that comparing yourself to others or thinking, oh my gosh, there's 2 million out there already. Why on earth would I do this? Do what feels right to you. You know, podcasts are a great way to get to know other people. They're a great way to get to know yourself and how you think and feel about things, what your voice is, how you show up in your industry, where you fit in your industry or in your topic. A lot of people just have topical podcasts, which is kind of what I'm doing with Supersize Your Business this year, making it about primarily just business strategies. What are different strategies that you can use to grow and build and supersize your business? And topics change over time. Doesn't mean that's what I'll do next year. That's just what I'm doing for this year because I decided it's easier to have an annual theme than to try to be bouncing around coming up with different ideas of what to talk about every day. So what are some of the strategies that you can use to supersize your business using a podcast? There are famous people out there teaching right now that you can interview people on your podcast to try to get them as clients. I feel iffy about that. I don't do an interview podcast. I have done interviews on my podcast. If you'd like to see more of those, I'd be glad to do them because I know some awesome and amazing people that I think would be wonderful to interview. You can use it as a way to monetize. So not only just get clients through guests, but we get clients through doing our podcast. That's how people become exposed to us. They get to know us. They get to know what we think about things, how we feel about things, what our core values are, and if there's a match there that they would want to work with us. You can cross-post and collaborate and do all kinds of amazing things when you have a platform of your own, which is exactly what a podcast is. A podcast is just another stage that you create yourself and own yourself. Guess what? It's really, really powerful to own your own stage. You can drive traffic. You can work on SEO. You can do conversions. A lot of the other strategies we talk about can be amplified by having your own podcast or by showing up and being a guest on other people's podcasts. It's one of the fastest, easiest ways to supersize and grow your business because you can reach another person's entire audience in however long the episode is that you're involved in. So love to know, are you podcasting? Do you have a podcast? Are you a guest on podcasts? Do you have a team of people like I do not and have not chosen to have that will edit and take out all your misspeaks or your mistakes that you make in your videos, or when your eyes are closed at the beginning of every video, or you're drinking coffee at the beginning of every video? Share in the comments what you do and how you feel about it, how it's working for you, so that we can learn from one another. That's it. I did cover a lot of stuff in my notes, but that's because I can't see them. Have an eye challenges. All right. Have an awesome day. And I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.